guys, it's Daniel here, back with another review for the Christmas season. And like I said in my last review, I'm going to be reviewing the very well-known British romantic Christmas movie, Love Actually. So Love Actually is about... I like the whole phrase there. Love actually is about. I love that. But anyway, Love Actually tells the story of multiple stories surrounding the theme of love and Christmas, with various people in the city of London dealing with their ways of getting ready for the festive season, or dealing with their own dilemmas in the festive season. It's filled with hilarious moments, Christmassy atmosphere, and the main theme of love. Now, I think a lot of people who live in Britain will already know the impact that this movie leaves in the Christmas movie genre, because it definitely is one of the most well-known movies in the Christmas genre, but it is also well-known for being in the romantic drama, because it does have very familiar rom-com traits to it. But I think that they work very well combined, so I decided to give the movie a rewatch. Now, I did watch it before, and I really liked it, and so I'm going to give it a rewatch for this review. So what do I think of Love Actually? It's really good. I think it's a really wholesome and hilarious slice of life comedic movie that really brings out the hilariousness of love and Christmas, but also the genuineness of both of those themes. Now, there are a lot of characters and a lot of stories. I'll try to skim through all of them, so forgive me if I stumble up a few times, but there's just so many of them. We have the storyline with David, the Prime Minister of London, played by Hugh Grant, as he deals with the responsibilities of being the Prime Minister, while also falling in love with one of his workers, Natalie. I think that Hugh Grant really stole the show, because I heard that a lot of his traits in acting is being in rom-coms, and I think that, well, that he perfectly represented that here, but also represented his versatility and charisma when he's acting on screen, because he has a lot of quippy and sharp dialogue, but also can improvise a few times, leading to some hilarious moments. But when there's some moments where his character feels a bit awkward, or his character feels like maybe I could love somebody and be loved, Hugh definitely does a fantastic job adding in those kind of dramatic performances with very subtle and very endearing facial expressions, and his cute little flirting with Natalie is adorable as well, and it leads to a very well done conclusion to their story. We then have the storyline with Daniel and Sam, played by Liam Neeson and Thomas Brodie Sangster, with Daniel raising Sam because Sam is the son of a woman who had a kid with somebody else, but after she passed away, Daniel is now under the responsibility of taking care of Sam as his stepfather. And I love that Liam Neeson does a fantastic job making him come off as a very desperate stepfather, wanting the best for his stepson. I mean, he's played father figures like that before in Taken and in Non-Stop, even though his daughter in that movie was gone. But I think he definitely did a good job in here, and young Thomas Brodie Sangster, or as it was credited in the credits, Thomas Sangster, did a fantastic job as a young child. And I also felt for his situation, because the whole thing with his character is that he has a crush with somebody in his school, and I think that it can relate to a lot of people, especially whenever they're kids, who have young romance. And it also helps to grow Sam and Daniel closer as stepson and stepfather. And then we have one of the most standout characters of this movie, Billy Mack, played by Bill Nighy. Yep, another Christmas movie I'm reviewing this year, featuring Bill Nighy. Billy Mack is well known in London for being a famous singer, singing the very iconic "Christmas is All Around Me," which is a Christmassy version of Love Is All Around Me. And he always steals the scenes whenever he's in them, especially his first scene where he's trying to record his song, and it leads to some mistakes, and he says some put together, well thought out cursing and bad language that always makes me crack up every time I see him. And he just carries on with his vulgar style comedy, even in front of children, that leads to some hilarious moments. But it also details a very strong brothership he shares with his manager, and I think that they had really good chemistry with each other, both comedically and also endearing chemistry too. One of the storylines that seems to be very, endearing to me, and I found it to be a very well done subplot, is Jamie's character, played by Colin Firth, as he moves out into a different house and falls in love with a woman who speaks a different language that is working with Jamie and helping him around the house. And I love the determination that Jamie goes through. Because Jamie is British and the woman is, I can't remember what language she speaks, but it's a different language and Jamie can't speak that language, but he goes to great lengths to learn her language so that he can communicate with her more and get to know her more. And I think it leads to some adorable, awkward moments where they look at each other and they're like, oh, should I go this way? I'll tell you what, I'll go this way. And I think that Colin did a fantastic job performing those scenes. And the conclusion to his story with this woman, I found to be so charming and lovely, because he goes to great lengths to express how he feels about this woman, even to the point of going on a very long trip, and I think that they did that very well with his character. There's also the storyline with Harry and Karen, played by the late Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson, which Karen is actually Hugh Grant's character's sister, and Harry is dealing with a little bit of it's almost like he's not exactly having an affair, but he is kind of having a little bit of the hots for another woman and tries to buy a present for her. I won't give away too much about what this storyline leads to, but it does lead to a very genuine dramatic moment for Emma Thompson's character, and she did a fantastic job. Also, this subplot also does introduce the very iconic scene with the worker at the jewellery shop, played brilliantly by Rowan Atkinson, who really takes the time that, even in the very small brief appearances that he's in, steals it with his very dry sense of humour. It's definitely one of the roles that Rowan was born to play. Now, this subplot may not have as much focus as the other subplots, but I also did find some admirable awkwardness, yet endearness, in the storyline between John and Judy, played by Martin Freeman from the Hobbit movies and Joanna Page from Gavin and Stacey. Now, their storyline might be a little bit awkward because they're basically actors for a inappropriate movie. I won't go into too much detail, but I really like the conversations between Martin and Joanna as they kind of awkwardly get to know each other a bit more, and also find endearness towards the end of the movie when they start falling in love. And I think that they did a fantastic job performing those scenes. And of course, one of the other major subplots of this movie that leads to some of the most iconic shots from the movie is the storyline with Mark, Juliet and Peter, played by Andrew Lincoln, Keira Knightley and Chiwetel Ejiofor, with Mark helping organise a wedding for Peter, who's getting married to Juliet. But the interesting thing is that Mark actually has a little bit of a thing for Juliet himself, but he's not going to tell anybody that because he doesn't want to ruin Peter's life. And it leads to two iconic scenes between the woman who was on the Pirates of the Caribbean ship and the guy who was the star of The Walking Dead as Rick Grimes in a moment together. And this scene in particular, outside of the Rick Grimes moments of The Walking Dead, in terms of British culture, this is the most iconic scene with Andrew Lincoln. Okay, so I got a lot of the storylines that I really liked out of the way, but what are some of the other things that I loved about Love Actually? Well, what I love actually is... Oh, I like that joke. The cinematography. The cinematography is brilliant. A lot of great shots of London, where you really get the realistic approach of what London is like, as well as filming a lot of these shopping malls, stage shows, and Christmas decorations to really get the Christmas atmosphere. And a lot of the colour coding with the Christmas decorations also play into the film's theme of love. The film's theme of love is excellent because they have a lot of moments between the love interests, like a male or a female, that might be kind of awkward in some cases, but it's real human reaction to falling in love. But as they go on throughout the film, they grow to know more about each other and more to respect each other, and slowly but surely discover that they might have a thing for each other. And I think that they represented that very well, and it leads to a lot of inspiring, magical and dramatic moments. And I think that the score definitely signifies it very well, particularly its main theme, like da, 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 da. I think I might have gotten that wrong, but I'll have a listen to it after this review. But I think the score was fantastic, and of course we can't forget the iconic I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes, feel it in my toes, love is all around. Oh no. Of course I'm not going to swear in this review, but Christmas is all around, and Bill Nighy is surprisingly a good singer. Who knew that the inspector from Hot Fuzz could actually sing? I also really love that some of the characters in different subplots can cross over into other people's plots. Like we see Rowan Atkinson's plot in Alan Rickman's story cross over into Liam Neeson's story at one point. I won't give too much away, but I love that moment. I like how these scenes are interconnected, and they come full circle interconnected towards the last third. And can I just say, the last third is amazing, with full resolutions to everybody's love stories and giving them the happiness that they deserve and worked hard for. And I think it leads to a lot of things and moments that I consider magical. I know that sounds kind of corny and lame, but I guess I'm kind of a corny person. Now, if I did have one problem with the film, and it does kind of detract a lot of things from the movie as a whole, is that although I love the amount of storylines that this movie explores, with how much there is, it kind of feels like some of them are just fighting for attention, and some of them are kind of left out of the back. Particularly two subplots. One of them focuses on Laura Linney's character, and while I do love the dramatic scenes of Laura Linney's character, I also felt like because all the other subplots are just so good, this one kind of took a back seat, and I felt like, okay, I kind of forgotten what this storyline was about, but I mean, I remember now, and I'll definitely rewatch it. But I felt like that there were a few moments where this subplot was kind of forgettable in a few times, but I still felt for the dramatic situation. And the storyline dealing with the really weird guy who considers British ladies to be too boring and decides to go to America to get American ladies, which are much more exciting. I think it's funny, but it also comes across as kind of unrealistic, with like some of the girls automatically going, oh wait, we'll just go with this complete stranger back to London and maybe like fall in love with them. And it does kind of not that great and realistic. And the subplot, while a few moments were funny, it also wasn't entirely funny like the other subplots. And I didn't really care too much for it, but I guess it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, I still found it pretty funny, but I felt like, compared to the other subplots of the movie and the many storylines, this one is kind of forgettable. Now, that was probably the only problem that I'd like to share in this review, but I will admit that it does kind of affect the movie as a whole, because each subplot is fighting for attention to the point where I'm kind of having to go back and forth. So I can't exactly get into the movie like in terms of like a 5 out of 5. But despite that, I think that this movie is absolutely delightful and lovely. It is hilarious, it is informative, it's adorable, the actors are fantastic, it really paved the way for some of these great British talents, and it makes things so much more Christmassy and also fits in with the romantic themes of love. And I think that the movie presents that very well, and I would definitely watch it each year at Christmas. And that's why I'm going to give Love Actually a 4.5 stars out of 5. It is a heck of a movie to watch, and if you love Actually, then go see it. I really need to stop making those terrible puns with Love Actually is this. But anyway, what do you guys think of Love Actually? Do you love it or do you hate it? And what movie do you love that has different interconnected stories? Let me know in the comment section below. Next up in these Christmas season reviews is, I'm going to be reviewing next up a movie that is considered to be the most well-known Christmas animated movie that was released on Netflix. Klaus. Bye bye, I'm Daniel reviewing movies, TV shows and doing videos. Till then, peace out, man.